Good morning, everybody. It's early here in New York. I know only 9 a.m. But we're talking with Mary Lancaster, who's one of the authors in the Marriage Maker and the Widows collection. And Mary lives in Scotland. I know how much we all envy her. Say hi, Mary. And in Scotland, of course, it's 2 p.m. right now, so it's not all that early.
Yes, it is.
How are you doing this
Hi,
afternoon,
everybody.
Mary?
Hello, everybody. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for asking me, Tara.
So why don't we start off by you telling us a little bit about Widow's Treasure, which is the book that Mary wrote for Marriage Maker, Marriage Maker and the Widows collection. So many of them I can't keep them straight, and it's kind of early. I know it's terrible to say that 9 o'clock is early, but now that my daughter's away,
Oh, it
is. So tell us a little bit about the book.
Well, it's basically about an English woman. She's a widow, obviously, and she didn't have a good marriage, and she's very glad to be free and be enjoying herself in the world. And she goes up to Scotland really just to sell her husband's property. But I don't think she'd never been there before, and neither she couldn't recall him ever being there before either. So it's all new to her, but she's only going to sell it. But then she falls in love with one of the local landowners who's not as wealthy as she is, but very different to her. But yeah, and that's basically the story. I won't tell you anymore to spoil it.
Sue House is here. Hi, Sue. Oh, thanks for joining us this morning. What a great fan. Oh, so glad you like the series, Sue. We're working very hard. Can you see the comments there, Mary?
Yeah, I can see that from Sue. Yes, she loves the Marriage Maker series. That's great.
We're having a great time writing it. So tell us a little bit about your hero. You know, you can tell us about him without actually giving away the story. Everybody loves to hear about the
hero. Excuse me. The hero, Rob, his family has sort of fallen on harder times since the Jacobite rebellion, because he was on the losing side, or his family were on the losing side. So he is desperately trying to bring his estate, excuse me, up to scratch, and he's just been concentrating on that rather than on love or marriage or anything like that. So this takes him a little bit by surprise too. The Jacobite rebellion is another thing that's always in the background, because the treasure of the title is that, well, the rumor of the treasure is meant to be Jacobite gold. So and that's what some people are looking for.
That's very interesting. Of course, living in Scotland, you've seen a lot of things that most of us have not.
Well,
what's the setting for Widow's Treasure?
Somewhere up in the Highlands near Inverness. Where
okay.
It all seems to take place. So yeah.
So what are the challenges? Again, with that, you don't have to give the story away, but what are the challenges that your two lovers face?
Whoa. Well, basically, she doesn't want to get married. She likes her life as it is, but then she can't really bear to be without him either. So that's one challenge. And his challenge, of course, is convincing her, and also being able to support her, because he has fallen on hard times.
Right.
Or his family has.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there is a bit of an adventure over the hunt for the treasure. And
a treasure. I love treasure hunting.
Well, they don't actually believe in it, but anyway, I won't spoil that bit of it.
Okay, don't spoil it for us. But Widow's Treasure. So I'm assuming that the title has more than one meaning.
Yes, of course, yeah, because there's that treasure, and there's the more important kind of treasure that we hope they will find together.
So, tell us a little bit, Mary. You know, you're a new author to me, which is really great. I love meeting new authors and reading new books, and we loved Widow's Treasure. As you know, I've told you that. Tell us a little bit about your writing process. Of course, living in Scotland, for us here in the States, it doesn't seem strange for a romance writer to want to write about Scotland. But for you, it's home. It may not seem quite as exotic as it does to us.
No.
Yeah, right. So why did you choose the Scottish romances?
Um, well, I'd started writing in Regency, and I think that's how I came to your notice, because I'd started to write Regencies, and I'd never actually written a Regency set in Scotland. I have written a
Oh,
couple
that's
of books
right.
set in
I'd
Scotland.
forgotten that. So how did you like it? Was it very different from writing straight Regencies?
A little bit, because England and Scotland were obviously very different, still are. But no, I really enjoyed it. It was a little bit different, and yeah, I find it the hardest bit, I think, for me was sort of adjusting to, if this wasn't my world, I had to fit my
Right.
characters and my story into this world that I hadn't made up, if you see what I mean. I
Oh,
mean, to a
now,
certain
now
extent, the history
your
is the history. But
Regencies, are they in somehow paranormal, or are they just straight Regencies?
no, they're straight Regencies, but they're set in England, where most Regencies are set, in the north of England, actually,
Oh, in
but
the north of England.
not
Okay.
in London. So it's meant to be a sort of little, mostly anyway, most of them are in a sort of a spa town up in the north of England, but close to the Scottish border, so you can have sort of
Right.
races to Gretna Green and
Uh-huh.
stuff like that to
Oh,
liven
right.
it up.
Right in green. Yes, I love that. That's I've done that a time or two in a book or two.
It's always fun, isn't it? It's very
Great fun,
romantic.
yeah. It's great fun. And usually when you get there, there has to be a duel or two at least.
Oh yeah, yeah, love Jules, love Jules. Yep.
Um, when I started writing, and Scottish romances was my first love. And historically, that's typically what I write. Is there's always has to be the hero is a Scot or Highlander. Um, I liked the sort of the rules are a little bit looser, and there's a lot of swashbuckling action, or at least opportunity for swashbuckling action.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
and actually, I didn't write straight Regencies. I wrote a little bit later, and strictly speaking, when I didn't have to be quite exact with the rules. But then I came back to that a little bit later. But I like the way the guys, of course, got to wear kilts.
Yeah, that seems to fascinate a lot of people.
Yeah, and they look great. It's very sultry. It's very sexy. So now in Widow's Treasure, does your hero wear a kilt?
He doesn't actually know, because people don't really,
Yeah, yeah.
except for
I'm not
high
saying
days
right.
and holidays. Um, and I suspect it was the same back then.
Yeah,
It wasn't that long since tartan had been forbidden in the Highlands, or in all of Scotland, in fact.
right.
And coming back to it, he's working now. He's out doing stuff on working his land with his own
Right.
people, um, and he's not dressing up. But the Highland dress that became fashionable through Sir Walter Scott and everything from there onwards
Right.
is really a sort of fan, how would I put it? It's a sort of glorified version of what
Yeah.
was basically
Yeah.
peasant dress. It's
Yeah.
what the normal folk wore, but the great lords didn't necessarily.
Yeah.
But they started wearing it to as a sort of statement of national pride and so on. And he's not really stating his national pride. He's just trying to get on and do stuff.
Right.
But I can imagine he might come round to it and look.
Yeah, most of the time, I actually had one reviewer who said that in one of the books I'd written, which was in the year Queen Victoria became queen, which is Victorian era, and she brought a lot of the Highland dress back into fashion, right? But
Yeah.
it's not like they were running around wearing them all the time.
No.
My hero, when he went to Scotland, because that's where he was originally from, but he was educated in England. And they had a place way up in the Highlands, and he wore them there because he had grown up wearing them when they were out there. But he didn't wear them all the time. And she accused me of writing a border lord, and I said, no, that's the history. That's how it goes. they had the heart, and they were very much Scottish, but he went to school in England. So
Yeah, I think that's what people don't realise. The great lords of Scotland and the great lords of England were largely educated together,
yeah,
and the Irish as well.
yeah,
Uh, and so they had a lot more in common than they had with
yeah.
each other than they had with the common folk of whatever country or
He wore
region they came
trousers,
from.
except for when he was out and about, like I said, way up at home, tramping about maybe. He wore trousers.
Yeah, I think that's probably more of the way it was.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was, especially by that time.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
but I had to laugh. Oh, he's more of a border lord. I said, well, he was a great lord, so his father made sure he was educated in England, so that he would be able to. He was uh, a future duke. His father was a duke, and his father wanted him to understand both sides. So he made sure he was educated in England. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well, that's fair.
there was a lot. There were differences, cultural differences, but there were, like you said, the great lords knew that they had to get along.
Yes, exactly, and they had to be loyal to the crown.
They had
So
to be loyal. That's exactly
yeah.
right, loyal to the crown, which my hero wasn't exactly.
Well, you got to liven it up, a bit of rebellion.
What he was helping people who had been accused of wrongdoing simply for political reasons. So he was helping them escape. So he wasn't trying to be a traitor, but he kind of was.
He was just doing the right thing.
That's exactly right. He was doing the right thing. So tell me, Mary, a little bit about your process as a writer. How long did it take you to write Widow's Treasure?
I can't remember now. It does. It seems a long time ago.
I know
I think
it has been a little
maybe.
while, right? Because you gave it to us, and then we had to go through edits.
Yeah. I think it was maybe about a month,
Oh, that's
maybe.
about right. Yeah. It's no,
Yeah.
yeah, 30 something that or 30, roughly 28 or 30,000 words or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, I tend to write it all, and then I try to leave it alone for a wee bit, and then I go back over it again,
Right.
and then another time before I send it in, or to wherever it's meant to go next.
Right. In this case, to our editor, who, as you know, loved the book.
That's,
Yeah,
that's good to hear.
yeah, she really, really liked it. I haven't had the chance to read it yet. When they go into audio, is typically when I have the opportunity to read them because I listen to the audiobooks for. So I
Yeah,
think
while you're doing other
that's
things.
my chance then to do it. So I'm looking forward to that. Which we are. We actually have. I mentioned last night with the other author, so I'll tell you, we actually have some narrators lined up. So
Brilliant.
yeah, it's going in the queue with our audio producer now.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we're
I
looking
look
forward
forward
to
to
that.
that.
We'll keep folks up on the release of that. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I'm working around the house. That's what I do. I turn on my put on my headphones and listen to audiobooks.
Good for you. That's a
Yeah,
good idea.
yeah. That's
Get
I like.
into
I read a lot, but I don't have the time to read physical books as much. I do some, but for fiction, I
Mm.
get a lot more reading done by through audio.
Yeah, and when you're driving, I suppose as
Yeah,
well, you can.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not as much now that my daughter's away, but still, like tomorrow I'll be picking her up. It's an hour to go pick her up, so I'll listen to audiobooks on the way. And I maybe start
Excellent.
a week that way.
Yeah,
It's fun.
great.
So what's next for you? I know that this I believe this was your only marriage maker book, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
But we're talking about other projects in the future. But what do you have coming up for you right away? The next thing that you're actually going to be working
I've got a release actually next week on Thursday. I've got the last in the my Blackhaven Bride series comes out on Thursday, and at the moment I'm working on a start of a new series called Unmarriageable, about people who are considered to be unmarriageable in one way or another,
on? Oh,
and who obviously get over the hurdle to find their happy ever after.
people
That's
who are considered unmarriageable. So how do they go about finding a significant other?
well, this sort of fate takes a hand. Usually,
Uh-huh.
there's a mysterious inn involved that they visit, and somehow they seem to meet their matches there.
Oh,
They're, they're,
now how'd you come up with that idea?
I can't remember now. I was just thinking about it. I think I get fed up writing about people who are perfect. You know, I don't want everybody to
Right.
always look and be
Uh-huh.
absolutely, because which of us is? You know, it doesn't seem natural. And so I was thinking about people who wouldn't be in demand, particularly by all the wealthy or rich or handsome men around, or the men who wouldn't really be wanted by the wealthy ladies. So, and I thought
Which is
that's
most of us.
quite good. Yeah, well, this is it. but but still, that's only a sort of society idea. So
Right.
people are still worthy people or fun
Regular
people,
Joes, as we
and
call them here.
yeah. So I thought that would be fun.
That's like
So
98% of the population.
well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I know it's escapism, but I like a wee bit of realism in there too.
Yeah, there's a lot of writers. I remember I heard Mary Higgins Clark's lecture many years ago when I first started writing, and she said that she believed that one of the secrets of her success was that she wrote about regular people.
Yeah, yeah, that the readers can relate to.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about even if you're writing about the wealthy and beautiful, they all still feel pretty much the same about love as the rest of
Yeah,
us.
exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, exactly. It's all
they face pretty much the same insecurities. She might be a beautiful woman, but she will worry that there's somebody more beautiful.
yeah, yeah,
And he
exactly.
might he might be a handsome guy, but is some other guy going to charm her more than he does?
Yeah, exactly. They all have the same insecurities
Yeah, we have
and
the same
and
insecurities.
fears. Yeah,
Part of the human
exactly.
condition. Oh boy, I tell you. Relation. My daughter asked me. She'll come and say, ask me questions about relationships. Why is it like this? Why is it like that? And my answer is the same. Relationships are hard.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not much other answer. There's not much else you can say. You just have to work through it.
Yeah, and you can't, it's very difficult to give advice because it's
Yep.
always so different and you have to learn for yourself as well.
Yep. The dynamics are unique to each situation, which is what makes writing the romance so cool.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much open to you there. Yeah.
Yeah, once you have the characters and you understand as a writer their at least their basic character, they start the chemistry starts working together.
Yeah. That's when it starts to take off for
Yep.
me anyway. Is when the
Yeah,
interaction is right.
I love it. So, what is your process? Are you a plotter, a pantster? How do you work?
I used to be a total pantster, and gradually, uh, I had a a publishing contract once where I had to submit the entire
Oh, the outline,
synopsis.
right?
Yeah, and I had to stop and actually think. So I started planning a lot more, but
Mhm.
gradually I sort of relaxed. And I think I've become a sort of plotster, sort of half plotter, half pantster.
Yeah,
So I have a basic idea and then I go with it. And if the little bits are getting difficult, then I plot them out in more
mhm.
detail. So it's a sort of mixture for me.
That's a lot more how I do it too. In the beginning, all I do
Yeah.
is pantster. You have an idea. I might have a picture might come to me of the first scene or even the last scene where usually, of course, I know where I essentially know where I want to end up. But now, after all these years, I find that I can write much faster if I have a little bit of an idea, even if I do a couple scenes ahead, at
Yeah.
least.
Yes. I think it makes it easier for you.
Yeah, I
Yes.
can sit there once I say, okay, well, they need to do this. Then
Yeah.
it's so much easier to write. Sometimes it's pretty fast, in fact. But figuring that out is what takes so long.
Yes. Absolutely.
But yeah, like I said, with the other authors last night, we were talking about that. And the truth is that for me anyway, the actual time I spend writing is the smaller amount of time that I devote to my book because I'm researching, I'm brainstorming, I'm thinking, and then maybe even plotting out. And that's probably 80% of what I do. And the other
Yeah.
20% is writing it.
It is the fun bit.
Yeah, the fun bit, right? The fun bit. But otherwise, I'm just sitting there staring at the page going, where am I going? I have to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here. Definitely.
I used to do that while driving, but now I'm listening to books. So that doesn't happen way back when, before Amazon came up with Audible, which was great, you know, where you can just put it on your phone or a little device or something, I would have to either purchase a CD, which was very expensive, or I would go to the library. And I do like the library, but it was much harder to get down there than it was when I was younger. What I call BC, before children.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yes.
And so the thing that was bad was I could go and get them, but it'd oftentimes be very late. We were talking about that last night as well. And with CDs, it's not like books. They're very expensive if they're overdue. It's like $1 a day.
Oh wow, yeah,
And
soon
sometimes I would
amounts of.
end up owning the darn thing.
Oh, we used to be like that with videos. Do you remember video shops where you
Oh,
used to
yeah,
go and hire videos?
absolutely.
We were always late and we were always having to pay these massive fines.
Big
It
fines.
would
I
be
know, right. Yeah.
quicker
So
just buying the video to start with.
I know it would have been so much better. And I learned that. So then when Amazon came out, oh my God, I have so many. I think right now, if I never bought another audiobook, it would probably take me a couple of years to read all the ones I've got that I haven't
Really?
read yet. Yeah. Well, when they go on sale, I buy them, you know.
Save them for later.
Yeah, save it for later. And those I will read eventually. But then I'll go, okay, I have this, but this one's on sale right now, and I really want to read it, so then I'll start reading that one instead. It's a dangerous thing. We were talking last night about how, you know, going to bookstores and libraries, but now you don't have to. It's on your computer.
It's too easy, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
have so many books on my, you know, through Amazon and Kobo, and I think some iTunes as well, because I have an iPhone and I can just use the apps. I probably will never be able to read them all.
But they're there if you want to.
But they're there at least, but they're there. So, well, I'm very glad we're very glad to have you here.
Well,
And
I'm very glad to be
thank
here.
you
It's
very much
been,
for writing Widow's Treasure.
well, thank you for letting me.
Doing very nicely, and I know that your fans, are going to love the book as they discover it. And hopefully, you'll be writing more with us in the future. We're looking forward to that as well. And
I'd like to.
yeah, let's see. So you've got to. Told us about. So, oh, your next release is coming up right away. You said the Blackhaven release is the next one.
Yes, yeah, yeah. That's on Thursday. The
Oh,
Wicked
nice.
Wife.
Oh,
Yeah,
good. Okay, congratulations. That's
thank
fabulous.
you.
I'm gonna have to check out the series. That's one. Are your books in audio at all yet? Are those books in audio?
No,
No, they're not.
no,
Okay.
not.
Well, I
No.
might have to read one anyway. I do still read, you know, on my. I do buy regular books as well when I see them.
Yes,
You know, if
yeah.
there's a particular book I really like. Um, but those are the ones that I know I'm going to keep. Otherwise, I don't have any. As you can see, my bookcase back here.
Yeah, I can see it. It looks like mine.
That's primarily research and a few cookbooks. That's all my research books there.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, you know, over the years, I love book
Yes,
sales. I'm always looking for research books at book sales, history books, you know, anything that's and if
it'll
you've got
help
some
you
sort
out.
of garage sale or library sale, you're usually paying about 10 cents a book. I got a lot of books back there like that.
Yeah, but it's a great way to discover them actually.
Yeah, for me, the research that I do, when I want to find some little detail that I don't know immediately where to find it in one of my books, you know, I will search online and find a line on it. Depending on how big the information is, I might have to buy a book, but at least through the internet, I can find the books.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Because you can't trust all the information you find just on the internet itself.
So you have to check it. You have to, because
Definitely
there's
right.
an awful lot of rubbish out there too.
Oh my
But at
God.
the same time, it's a lot easier than it used to be.
I was really surprised over the years at some of the stuff I had at one time thought was historically accurate. Come to find out, nope, that's not right at all.
Yeah,
Stuff. A couple of
it's
those did
a
creep into my
minefield.
book over the years, but you know, again, it is fiction.
It is. I mean, I don't think we should beat ourselves up too hard. All we can do is try, and if we make a
Yeah.
mistake, fix it.
Work on the. Have you ever got dinged by reviewers and readers for being historically inaccurate?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I don't think it's fair because I don't think they're right. But once it was entirely true. For somehow I managed to get the word photograph in, and I could have sworn blind I'd never written that word,
Oh,
and it even escaped the. All I can think of it is like it's a mind typo. And it's like I was thinking, because the purpose of this, it was
Right.
meant to be a little portrait, and the purpose of it was so she could recognize somebody from it. And once I did actually write this photograph, and a reviewer picked me up on it quite rightly. That we didn't have photographs in the 1790s or whenever this was. And I thought, well, that's rubbish. I never wrote that word. And I went and checked, and there it was, staring at me. Oh, how did I do that? And it must have been just, it flowed so well that even my editor hadn't spotted it.
Oh,
So,
that's right. Yeah. Well, when I started writing, I became much more hypersensitive to any kind of mistake in a book, that was like if I would read a book written by a well-known author. And before that, before the internet, I think now a lot of readers and reviewers, really are jumping on the bandwagon, getting involved. But before that, people were much kinder.
yeah, well,
Now, even I notice that I don't typically comment on it, but I'll go, "Oh my God, how in the world could the editor have missed that?" You
it's
do
too
wonder.
easy.
It's funny.
You often you just see what you expect to be there as well, very
Exactly
often.
right. Yeah, yeah.
No matter how often or how many people look at it, things always slip through.
One of my favorite authors, Julie Garwood. I
Hmm.
read, she was one of sort of the grand dames of historical,
Yeah.
30 years ago. Her and Amanda Quickman, all those gals, Joanna Lindsay and them. Um, Julie Garwood used a lot of modern language. He's sexy. She's sexy. She used words like, and you know what? I loved her. I didn't care.
Fair enough.
Stories
Yeah.
were lots and lots of fun, and her characters were very cool.
Yeah. Yes,
We
which
see
is
what
what
we
you're
have
reading
today,
them
but
for.
back then,
Yeah.
she's a good storyteller.
Yes, and that's what you were looking for. Yeah.
That's what I loved more than anything. I just didn't care. I remember looking at the first time I read, I think it was The Bride, and either the heroine said he was sexy or he said she was sexy. And I remember stopping long before I started writing, and I stopped and looked at it and said, "Huh," and I laughed and I kept going.
Yeah,
I
it's fair
didn't
enough. Yeah.
know.
And
So
I mean, a lot of it is, it's almost like a translation anyway, because
yeah,
they didn't really talk the way, if we all talked like, I mean, nobody really speaks like Jane Austen's characters speak.
no,
And I suspect people didn't in those days either because it was only
yeah,
her representation. So you can
especially if
look
we're
on
going
it as
back
a
to
certain
medieval times.
degree.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
If
as a
we're going back to
translation.
medieval times, especially, we would never. I remember one reviewer said about me about one of my earlier novellas. Oh, this author, you can tell she doesn't live in Scotland. She's another American thinking she can write Scottish romances, and she threw in a few old English words to make it seem like a historical novel. And I thought to myself, probably the only quote old English word in there is the word "the."
Fair
Because
enough.
nobody would want to read a book that had old English, that was written with old
You
English
could,
words
I
in it
mean,
from.
nobody, even reading Shakespeare is trouble,
No,
never
and
mind,
that's modern humor,
earlier stuff. Yeah.
right? No,
Chaucer, we
no.
can't do it.
I love reading that stuff, but I would never read it in the same fashion that I do
No, no,
Shakespeare.
of course not. Not with anybody else.
I had to laugh. It was very, very funny. So I thought to myself, okay, you know, and in medieval days, especially, there was a lot of similarities between Scotland and England. They wore the same kind of clothes.
Yes.
They had the same sort of culture, essentially, um, and they had, unlike the Regency period, where in England there were a lot of rules, during that, and even in Victorian era, there were a lot of rules in England, and they were a little bit more laid back in Scotland. But in medieval times, they even wore the same. Well, I think they pretty much did all along. They wore the same fashions.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, I
They
think
spoke with
so.
a Scottish accent in Scotland, and they didn't like England, and England spoke with an English accent and didn't like Scotland. That was the difference.
I suspect so,
Pretty,
largely.
for the most part, yeah, for the most part. So, all right. Well, our half hour is almost up. Yeah, it's up now. So,
Oh, and I
it
forgot
was,
to put, I had the contest and everything, and I forgot to post them.
yeah, well, that's okay. It's very hard.
I'll do that now.
Yeah, for anybody who happens to see this, check out our party room, which is new release, the Marriage Maker, the Marriage Maker and the Widows. And we're going to leave the contest up for today because Mary is posting her contest today. And tomorrow morning, everybody will choose winners a couple of people are choosing winners today, I think, because they had deadlines. But I'll be choosing winners tomorrow so that everybody can look at Mary's as well and have a chance to enter all the contests that are still open today.
That
So
seems fair.
thanks for being with us all. And I know it was early, but hopefully some folks will see our live stream along the way. I'll post it in our Facebook room as well. And
Okay.
thanks so much for being here, Mary. Have a great
My
afternoon.
pleasure.
And
And you.
we'll be
Enjoy your
talking to
day.
you soon again. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye. Bye, everyone.